More and more, I am finding out that people are getting political exhaustion from politics. It is becoming a 24/7 nonstop stream of information, some good, some bad, some right, some wrong. And people don't know where to go with their emotions from this. Let's talk. We have to work hard to let people know that it is okay to have an emotional reaction, first of all. It's okay. We are made up of emotions, so being able to show those and feel those when we hear something that we agree or may not agree with is perfectly normal. So while we know it can be exhausting sometimes, we have to make a welcome environment for people to be able to have thoughtful conversation about what it is that they may disagree or agree with. We can't just shut down because something is not to our liking, but open up to make thoughtful conversation welcomed. Remembering that it's not always about trying to prove who's right and who's wrong, or what should have been said or maybe shouldn't have been said, but doing more so of emotional engagement, letting people know that I'm willing to listen to you. I don't always have to be right, and you don't always have to be right. And neither one of us necessarily has to be right or wrong, but let's just try to get an understanding of your opinion and mine and why we think the way we do, or maybe what we interpreted from what we heard, and see if we can find some kind of common ground. And once we're talking and engaging with each other and trying to understand each other's point of view and where we're coming from, we have to remember this whole thing is almost like, or look at it as like a silent disco. You know, where you have the headphones on and one group is hearing something, another group is hearing something, and another group is hearing something else, but everybody's in the same room doing the dancing. And when you look at it, you're seeing all kinds of disorder and all kinds of chaotic movement. And it's like, how are they dancing to what I'm hearing? What is going on? And you don't see any cohesiveness. But when reality, everyone's hearing what's playing in their headphones according to their understanding, and they're moving in according to that. So if we think of it in that way, people are hearing according to what's their receptors are getting from the messaging that's being played, from the speeches that are being put out there, and from what's being reported in the media, which is all the time. How we see them react or how we see them respond is based on their receptors, what they're hearing. And we have to keep in mind that we're not all hearing the messaging the same. We all are getting a different viewpoint from what's being said. And if you remember, a while back ago, there was even a lawsuit out there on some of this social media because it was being portrayed, the information that was coming through was being done in a different manner to different groups and different followers and different things like that. So we have to stay aware that sometimes the information that is out there is not the same. It's not coming the same to each group. And we have to be aware of that. We can ask ourselves why this group is getting this and this group is getting that, or somebody's hearing something different than what you're hearing. And it's because divisiveness benefits the system. It benefits the people who are putting that messaging out there. It doesn't benefit the people who are the receptors, because all it's serving to do is divide, and it's serving to pull people in different directions. So they're not thinking about unification. They're thinking about this group thinks they're better than we are, or this group thinks they're better than we are, or this way is better, or this way is better. And if you think about that, that is what keeps all of the turmoil going on. It's not the unwillingness of people to work together and do things that may bring a situation to a solution. It's more of pitting against each other to keep the defenses up of one group or another group or organization or individuals or whatever. It's to keep the defenses up, because when you're so busy defending, you don't have time to try to unify. You don't have time to try to say, let's see how we can work together, because you're too busy trying to defend what may or may not be the truth, what may or may not be the reality of what's really going on. So think of it in that way sometimes, that the plan is not to bring us together and work as one. The plan is to put us in silos, so everybody's just trying to defend their own little portion. And I experienced this a little bit when I ran for city council here in my city. And when I ran, I didn't know anything about local politics. I didn't follow them as a rule, not even as a rule. It's just I didn't follow them because that wasn't something that was discussed regularly when growing up. You would hear different things about, oh, so and so may have done this or so and so may have done that, but you didn't really equate it to, I want to run for a seat, or I want to be a part of this or that to help make these changes. It was just, it was there. You knew it was there, and you heard more about the national politics because you would always hear, well, this president is this, or this president is that, or governor this, or governor that. And again, I didn't pay too much attention to it because I didn't have an aspiration for that. It wasn't something that was on my agenda that I wanted to do. Now, there was a friend of our families that had been on the council for a number of years, and he was telling us that he got a group of us together and was telling us that a number of seats were coming open this certain year that I was running, and that he thought we needed some representation. And when I say we need some representation as a Black person, he thought that, okay, we need to get somebody that looks like us to be on this council. So I listened to what he had to say, and in my mind, I'm going like, yeah, that's going to be a no. And why would you pick me? Because I don't have any experience with council or anything like that. Nothing like that. No political ambitions, no anything like that. But I was willing to listen to see where the story might go. So fast forward to being elected, being historically elected as the first Black female to ever serve on our council. I got a firsthand look at how politics can play a part kind of in what's going on in your local government. Now, don't get me wrong, there were a lot of good laws and ordinances passed and made for the benefit of the majority and things like that. But there were also instances where I could see how influence and maybe the lack of equity played a part in establishing some of the ordinances and laws and just some of the general mannerisms or the ways of how things were done. And when you witness that, you sometimes have a decision to make on whether you're going to be jaded or go along to get along, or if you're going to ride solo sometimes and try to be a voice that's not being represented. So there were times that I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling that, and was a lone solo vote against something. But there was also times where I felt disinterested because of what was going on. And I say all that to say everything is not going to go how you plan all the time. Everything's not going to go the way you think it should go. But you have to decide where in your mindset or where in your thinking and heart and soul and instincts and intuition that you are going to make a decision to do something different, or you are going to make a decision to speak up or speak out on something that may not be a popular move, but it may be the right move for you. And if you think of that in terms of being out and among the discussions, then it's going to help you make a decision that may be hard, but is necessary. And when you get ready to make those decisions, when you get ready to speak on something or try to move something forward or maybe hold something back, you have to make sure that you've done your educational research, that you have looked into something, that you have looked at different angles and see if the intent is there for the good that it can do or if it's there for the bad that it can do. And it may be sometimes you don't see the clear picture right off, and it takes a little bit more discussion, or it takes a little bit more engagement with other people and situations so you can get a clearer answer before you respond. And again, it may not be popular, but sometimes you have to take a solo road. Sometimes you can't go on that well-worn path. You have to forge your new path or go on that rocky one that's over there that's not the most traveled, but it is a sure path. It's a sure path. So don't think I'm trying to dissuade you from wanting to get involved in politics or listening to politics or listening to things like that, because I am not. There's a great need for people to become involved, and there's a greater need for people who are interested and are willing to do the work to get involved. There's a great need for that and a greater need for great people. So if you feel that you are one, educate yourself and do some research before you automatically hop on a bus that seems to always down a group or an organization, or just seems to down things in general. If you can't find something that's giving, or someone who's giving a message of, and not saying everything has to be positive all the time, but you want a messaging that's uplifting, that's encouraging, that's not always about divisiveness. Sometimes when we're distracted by sensationalism or repetitive messaging, we have to ask ourselves, why? Why are you trying to pull our attention so fiercely? Why are you trying to try so hard to get us to do this or believe this or follow a certain way? And this, I'm telling you, is not just national. This could be your state, and this can be local. All these questions should be asked because you need to know all of the information before you step into something or before you offer an opinion that may be based on, again, as I said earlier, false messaging or messaging that's only for this select group, and then different messaging for this select group, and then different messaging for this select group. Is it going to benefit the majority, or is it going to sacrifice the majority? These are some things just to think about when you're wanting to respond or wanting to act towards something in political arena. And the answers that you come up with for yourself, you have to say, if your answers are causing more confusion than clarity, look into what you may be able to do to help change or better a situation. Don't just automatically say, okay, this is it and this is the way it has to be. Is that clear, or is it confusing? Can people understand that? Or if you have to explain it and you're just muddying the waters even more, then maybe either the information you're receiving isn't accurate, or your interpretation might need a little bit of adjustment. And we all need that, myself included. All of us need that, because no one way is the right way. We all have differences of opinions, but that's how I said again, we need to open up the conversation for engagement and for discussion and for understanding. And I'm willing to listen to why you believe the way you believe, or why you think this is what's being said and this is what I think is being said. Conversation is going to be the key. I always tell people that, well, when I was on council, and did 14 years of that, by the way, in 2 years I served as mayor. But I used to always tell people when they would come to complain, and I would be like, it's perfectly fine for you to complain or state a problem, and I am definitely willing to listen. But it's very thoughtful to offer a solution, but it's productive to get involved and do the work. I hope this conversation made you pause, take what you need and leave the rest. And remember, you don't have to fix everything today. This is Colbert Kean Conversations, real conversations for everyone.